Have you ever been trying to learn something new, but then ended up quickly abandoning it because it just felt a little too difficult for you? One of the hardest parts of learning something new is simply getting started, because a lot of people struggle with feeling like they aren't good at something. You see this all the time in students who get frustrated at their schoolwork because they'll never use it in real life, or at people who give up learning a new skill because they feel embarrassed about just how bad they are at it. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about something that might help that process feel a little bit easier. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Tyler Warlow and I go by the Mengineer. I make videos on how to improve your life through your confidence, capabilities, and overall happiness. One of the biggest issues that we have run into nowadays is that we're so used to getting those quick and easy dopamine hits. So when it comes to trying to learn something new where you don't get that really quick and easy dopamine hit of immediately seeing progress, we tend to give up those things for things that are easier. Why would you try to spend hours to learn a new song on guitar when you could simply scroll social media and get a few good laughs in? So in order to help you get over that initial hump and learn how to start learning things consistently, I'm going to be talking about how to gamify your learning. If that sounds interesting to you, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to join me along in this self-improvement journey. Gamifying learning is actually a concept that has been around for a little bit now. Generally speaking, if there's something that you want to learn out there, there's likely some form of an app that will teach you how to do it. You can see this in pretty good examples with apps like Duolingo for learning a new language, Musician for learning a guitar, and there's even habit formation apps like Habitica. There used to be a fairly popular trivia game where you could submit questions by the community. So in other words, you could set up subjects such as, let's think, AP Environmental Science. Your class could all submit questions and then you would race to see who could answer them the quickest. A little bit like Kahoot, but you would also have leaderboards that spanned over time, making it a little bit more competitive. All of these apps try to use reward structures in order to keep your attention and keep you coming back to learn these new things. One of the main issues that I've encountered with them, though, is sometimes they lack that feeling of community, so it's not really a true competition, and then on top of that, they can be put behind a paywall. Nobody likes having to pay to learn new things, especially when they feel like they could just teach themselves. So today I'm going to go over how you can learn how to gamify learning for yourself. One of the best ways that you're going to be able to gamify your learning is by forming a group with your friends and making it competitive in some form. There are ways to gamify your learning by yourself, but the issue there is that you have to be pretty independently motivated. Because eventually, if you're just going for these checkpoints and badges that really don't mean anything or hold any significance, then you're going to lose interest. But by forming a group with your friends and making it somewhat competitive, it kind of gives you an incentive to keep coming back to it. A really simple way of making it competitive is by incorporating points and leaderboards. It can be a lot like fantasy sports if you think about it. You can use these points and leaderboards in order to create incentives. For instance, you can set up a winner and a loser of each season, so give a certain time frame and you guys have to do a certain amount of stuff. Having leaderboards helps you to see where you are relative to your peers, and this can be highly motivating for a lot of people because, like I already said, you don't want to be the one that's in last place, and usually it's kind of nice to have some bragging rights when you end up in first. For example, a lot of classrooms nowadays use Kahoot as a way to keep students engaged in the learning process. It's a very fun time to see your name up on that leaderboard and be trying to keep it there, and it's really disappointing when you lose your streak and end up dropping out of the leaderboard. This keeps people trying to do their best and learn the best that they can in order to place better and higher than their peers. But what about y'all? Have y'all ever tried competing with your friends in terms of trying to learn something new? If so, let me know with a comment down below. I'd love to hear your stories. When you're trying to gamify your learning, you want to make sure that you're incorporating ways of getting instant feedback. That is one of the strongest ways that video games try to make sure that they keep your attention. They give you little instant feedbacks in order to keep you coming back. If you take a look at Duolingo, you can earn badges each day as well as different chests for making it a certain number of lessons into your day. Whenever you reach one of those achievements, it unlocks a hit of dopamine for you. And that's part of what drives you to come back, is because you want to keep unlocking those items. In your own life, this can easily be done in study groups with like a chime or a failure sound. You could implement different achievements for your study group, or like I already pointed out, you can use points. Points are a very easy way to set up a reward structure that is pretty immediate. The one thing that you want to keep in mind here is make sure that you're making the points based on something that can easily be proven and verified. You don't want people simply faking what they did in order to get more points and go higher up on the leaderboard. The more significant the achievement, the higher the reward. For instance, you could give different rewards for different letter grades on homeworks, quizzes, and tests. And at each of those levels, those points are going to be worth more. But let's say you're someone less competitive and you don't really like the points and leaderboards aspect of this concept. There are still options for you. If you still like the idea of setting up study groups with your friends, you can always try different role-playing games. This can easily be done with subjects like history, philosophy, and language arts. All you have to do is assign each person a time period or a person that they need to be, and then they need to come to the study group and act like that person. If they are unable to do so, then their peers should call them out and point out flaws in how their character is behaving. With history, this can be done with historical events. Philosophy, you can touch on different philosophers and their different teachings. And with language arts, you can always act out different parts of books. This can be a really easy way to reinforce things that you've learned in these classes while keeping it lighthearted and fun between you and your classmates. But what if you really just want to do something for yourself? You don't really want to involve your peers and you're more of a lone wolf. That is perfectly all right. It is just as easy to set up your own reward system. For example, when I was younger, I used to have to practice violin for my concerts, and every once in a while we would get a piece that I would have a really difficult time with. So generally what I would do to get myself to practice is I would buy myself a pack of M&Ms. And then each time that I got a measure correct without any mistakes, I would let myself eat one of those M&Ms. However, I couldn't get it every single time I got that same measure. I had to then get a new measure correct in order to get another M&M. And then once I started getting all the individual measures correct, I had to start being able to play them together in a string before I was allowed to have an M&M. This kept me motivated to keep trying to learn and keep practicing, even when I got frustrated, because I knew once I did get it, I had a little reward for myself. Now, something that incorporates is that you need to somewhat randomize your reward scheme. In other words, this is called setting up a variable reward system. If you reward yourself every single time you get something correct, you're going to come to expect that reward, and it's not as good as if it was more randomized. The nice thing about my violin practicing example was, like, if I got a little too hasty and I messed up, then I didn't get the M&M. So the only way I could get the M&M was if I really did get it perfectly. And unfortunately, sometimes it would take a while before I did that. Now, if you're studying something that's a little bit more memorization and less skill, then what you might want to do is less on the mistakes and more randomize how often you are giving yourself a reward for getting things correct. As always, in my opinion, you should give yourself bigger rewards for bigger accomplishments. So again, tying back to my violin playing example, if I was able to play an entire piece without any mistakes, then I would go ahead and buy myself an entire pack of M&Ms and let myself have it guilt-free. You can do this with a range of different skills and subjects, and it's pretty easy to do on your own time. Just try to make sure that you find a reward that is motivating to you or that someone else can give to you to help hold you accountable. All right, guys, but that's gonna bring us to the end of this video. If you found the information to be helpful or informative at all, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to join me in this self-improvement journey. If you had any of your own thoughts, ideas, or opinions, be sure to let me know with a comment down below. I like to read all of them. If you'd like to see more videos like this one where I talk about learning subjects, check out this video right here where I talk about whether or not music actually helps you to learn. If you're more interested in my most recent stuff, be sure to check out this video right here. But until the next time, this is the Mengineer, signing off.